All right, hi everyone. So today I would like to share with you what I mean by dissolution of air conditioning. And again, this is just me trying to express into a visual content so people can understand what I mean, but it's just my own interpretation. And I'm open for suggestion and rectification or totally dismantling of what I think is right. But this is if it can help some people, or if it can open a conversation. That will be the purpose of this video. So let's start. So what the video is about, the level of comprehension that we have from our knowledge. What do we understand about what's inside our mind? And so when we are a baby or young, we just have personal experience. So we're putting stuff in our mouth, we're seeing things, and we hearing stuff, and everything is impressing us. But we are still trying. We're not trying. We're just experiencing. Everything is mind blowing. We're laughing. We're not sure if the baby have a sense of humor or they're just imitating us. But they're trying food on their mind, and I think maybe some baby are like amazed by some taste and maybe feeling disgust by other tastes, but a lot of baby are just putting anything and they have reaction because something sour feels different than something sweet. You can see if a baby put ice cream for the first time in their mouth, they're like, oh, give me more, and there's a sensation of addiction. And if you have an unconscious parent who just like, yeah, he likes it, just give it as much as you want, then you are feeding an addictive pattern. And then if you are just believing that you should feed whatever the baby wants, then it's likely that if you're feeding bad habit like French fry burger and Coca-Cola, then it will likely grow unhealthy. Anyway, we're going way further. So the first thing is that we're not conscious of the content of our mind, of what we're experiencing, because we don't even have vocabulary yet when we're a baby. We're not trying to understand. We're just experiencing. I think I have a scale of everything that I mentioned. So the little fuel is personal experience, and eventually we're starting to understand from conditioning, from our parents, primarily, that everything has a name. So I don't know, there's not much here, but you can see this is a face, and maybe there's a hard rub, there's a bed, and then the first word for everyone, it's like at least for 99% of the people, is mama. We understand that this female figure, this motherly figure, is our mom, and it's a distinction that something is separate from us. It's like me, and then there's you, and then we quickly realize there's like, oh, banana, chocolate, and then you're having a glimpse between your experience, the observation, and the label attached to it, the words. So the concept attached to the experience. And then, so I have a television here for mainstream information, and it's not a problem. It's like mainstream information is just what everyone is agreeing what a concept is. So everyone is agreeing that a table is a flat surface with legs, and then you can put some stuff on it, you can eat on top, you can work on it. But the concept of a table is universal. It's mainstream information, meaning that everybody, no matter the language, we're repeating the same word, the same concept, meaning the same thing. And then after that, so it's really easy to talk about material concept and agree upon it. But when we're talking about something that we haven't experienced ourselves, say like a fruit that you've never tasted, a meal that you never taste, or a concept coming from a different religion or a different culture, we can only think about it either through media or to account from our friend that maybe have visited a country that we are unaware of. And so where I'm at, so alternative information. Alternative information is the information that we receive that is not coming from our family, not coming from a media, and not coming from our teachers. It's coming from, say, for instance, that turmeric can help lower inflammation. Usually we're taking ibuprofen or acetaminophen. That's the mainstream information. And then there's alternative information which exists to sometimes supplement, but most of the time contradict mainstream information. Or, and then there's like a really more obscure alternative information. Who built the pyramid of Egypt? Did we went to the moon? And those are maybe like more conspiracy theory. But it's information that are not shared and accepted by mainstream society in general. And when we're receiving this, it's easy to, if we're gullible, to believe everything we're receiving and then totally contradict what mainstream is telling to us. But at the end of the day, alternative information is to widen a field of understanding and perception through personal experience, meaning that like if you have cancer and chemo or normal procedure hasn't helped you, and then you're opening yourself to the alternative route and you're trying alternative medicine, alternative practice, alternative lifestyle, and it's healing you, helping you, and maybe by miracle curing you from cancer, then your own experience make you understand that there are answers which are different from mainstream information and that are valid. And so there's alternative information which are just conspiracy theory or maybe not valid for everyone, and they also alternative information which are valid for some people, and there's alternative information which are valid for everyone but it's hidden from us. And so when we have mainstream information and also alternative information, we start doubting what we know, either about the moon landing, about if the earth is flat or not, or about if cancer is curable outside of chemotherapy or not. And there's many other theories. So we are starting doubting what we have learned from mainstream. And then so awareness is like the first glimpse is like I think there's something else, there's something different that exists, but I just learn about it and I don't have my own experience to confirm. Does God exist? Does love exist? And then you are aware that an information that is contradicting mainstream exists, but you are not sure, you're doubting. And then consciousness is that you have still mainstream information, but we have our personal experience that are confirming the alternative information we receive. And that's the example I just give. For instance, you had cancer and you've tried energy therapy or fasting or information that exists even on the internet but is not widely spread by mainstream doctor, mainstream scientists, etc. And that gives you an understanding that is different before you were just filled with mainstream information. And then higher level consciousness is that instead of mixing alternative information and mainstream information, we are on the process of dissolving mainstream information. Mostly the one that is not tested. So if like we are, because when we're a child, when we're younger, we have our own experience, but they're not necessarily correlated to our personal experience. And what it means is that you'll feel something. Say for something example, you feel sad, you feel bully. Say you feel bully, for example. I was bullied when I was, say, I entered high school. I was smaller, and I got bullied by older children, and you might express, if you're ballsy enough, you might express this to your parents, and or to your teacher, and if they're not good into coping, they'll just say, oh yeah, but it's normal, don't worry, just leave them alone and they'll leave you alone, or whatever is you're feeling. If they are acknowledged, then you can grow from there, from them. But if you're, and this is what I'm trying to point out, if instead they are ignore or repress and or shame, even worse, that means that you have your own experience, but mainstream is not helping you to embrace that experience or to make you understand why you're feeling that. And so you're repressing a part of your reality because it's not well seen. So I'm talking in this case about emotion. There's many emotion. Either we're men and we have to feel strong, confident, not complain, or you're a woman and you're not allowed to express your emotion, or whatever it is that is segregated between genders or race, or there's many stigma that are forcing us to behave disconnected from our emotion. And they say, well, you shouldn't feel sad, you shouldn't feel angry because it disturbs other people. And instead of finding a healthy way to express the sadness or to express this anger, we are shown or taught to repress it, to hide it. And then we grow to in adulthood feeling more sad, more angry, and then we have to build a stronger carapace to hold it tighter. And that's why some people who either suffer too much from it or are not able to build a stronger carapace blow up, and then they maybe commit crime, or they are socially awkward, or they are violent with their partner because they haven't learned a healthy way to express that inner violence. They just bottle up, and there's negative emotion that is repressed. And so the healing process is about dissolving. You understand, if you keep your mainstream information, but you realize that no, there's no problem with you. You're not. If you have, say for example, complex PTSD from abusive parent, you realize that this is a condition, and then to be able to heal, then you have to learn more about your condition, usually by alternative. You have already your experience. You learn about alternative information, and you try to dissolve your false belief, making you think that you're the problem, making you think. And I'm not dismissing the fact that being violent is not something good for society. I'm just saying that the way society force us to understand what we feel, the way we behave is wrong or bad, is a wrong interpretation, and creates more suffering or an inability for the majority of people who are suffering to not be able to find the proper healing, meaning that mainstream society say you should see a therapist, you should have medication, you should take a lifetime of medication, and as much as it's possible that chemical medication, SSRI for example, can be useful, there's a difference between using a tool like SSRI medication to help somebody to get out of depression, and to make them, instead of making it addicted, to use it as a tool for healing. But the whole mainstream society is not dedicated toward healing, is dedicated only and mostly toward taming a symptom. So if you feel sad, we receive medication to feel better, but we're not going to the root of why am I feeling sad, why am I feeling angry, why am I feeling depressed, and instead we just give the chemical component to counterbalance the emotion that we do not want to feel. So depression, then we receive the medication. I've never been on those medication, but I've been close enough from people who have been, and most of the mainstream healer, mainly like psychiatrists, psychologists, are there to provide medication that makes the patient dependent on the prescription, and that's a problem. And compared to alternative information where you understand the source of the problem, so whatever you're feeling, you understand maybe it comes from childhood trauma, whatever it may be, and then the path of recovery is uh, is the solution of the false belief that we receive from mainstream information, thinking that there's a problem about our symptom, and to seek help into healing and accepting the root of our trauma. So 90% at least of their healing journey is emotional. Sometimes, like me, this internalization of imbalance comes from is externalized through injury. Like you can see, I'm currently injured. It's just a tweak, but it's like being bothering me. For me, it's always on the right side, and in the last couple of years, been in my knee and in my shoulder. Some people is cancer, some people is allergy, some people is other kind of illness, and I feel that they can be genetic diseases, but most of the time it's an imbalance, and the imbalance in my own perspective come from a bad diet, bad lifestyle, bad relationship, or not bad, but just like misaligned, or yeah. So diet, lifestyle, relationship, and there's another one, but I forget for now. And so when we are following the education of mainstream, mostly toward healing, doctors are not equipped to tell us, like, I mean, I'm talking about mainstream doctor. 99% of them, they will tell you if you're overweight, they're gonna do a gastric bypass, or if you have a problem with your bowel or you have throat cancer. They're operating and they're removing the cancer, but they're not focused on re-educating, meaning removing mainstream conditioning to give you good quality alternative information so you can stop looping and recreating the cancer in the first place. We are not all lucky to have had parents who were able to good give us the appropriate education for a healthy lifestyle or having healthy relationship, and therefore we're doing your best. It's like it's easy to point at others the finger and say, yeah, but you just have to stop eating junk food, you just have to, I don't know, spend money carelessly. But not everyone has had the education to have the best behavior that can help us for expansion and for growth. And of course there are story from like beggars or homeless people that have had managed to turn their life upside down and create wealth or immense wealth. And many of them it was a driven force. Poverty was a driven force for them to go through the hardship of becoming successful, which is harder when you have a sport life because your parents were wealthy. You never had to struggle in your life, and so you don't really want to start a business and go through to be rich, not from inheritance, but from creating successful business is challenging, and so not everyone has the capacity to do that. Yeah, so this is I don't know what else I can add for this. I'll cut it for now. I feel completed, and my battery is about to die. So if you have question, I like this drawing. It's one of my favorite. I feel I'm improving every time. Comment. Let me know what you think about it. If you don't agree, let me know. And then if you've watched a couple of videos, like I said all the time, for me it was being a parameter to when I watch 3 videos of the same creator as a sign of encouragement and subscribe. So please subscribe if you watch a couple of my videos and you want to help me share this channel with others. Ciao.